move around the table. If there's something you want to eat on that end, I encourage you to get up and go taste it. If somebody needs to pass it down to you, you can do that. But you know, that's how this sort of goes. So I hope you enjoy that. I do want to introduce the people that's on our team here tonight present. So starting right here up front, this is Leslie. She's our sustainability manager. This is Audrey. She's our marketing manager, hence the camera. Kelsey, she's in charge of photography and digital information on campus. In the black jacket right there, that is our campus executive chef, Brandon Russell. And then the white jacket behind him is Keith Griffin. He is he's moved on. He's actually used to be on the Elana team, but he's a regional traveling chef for Harvest Table now. And then Laura,
she's on the phone over there.
is on the phone. So Laura's our RDM. She's the one that makes the things happen here. She pushes us and challenges us to be able to put forth the meals that we do each and every day. So I do want to go ahead and encourage you, get in there, get at it, start tasting some stuff. Let's have some fun. Chef Bowie, you kick up, start talking about some stuff.
Sure.
You know, Chef Kabui, he's gonna talk about food justice and you know his food story. I think it's incredible. He's a very knowledgeable person. So y'all get started. I'll come back. We'll talk about some more courses as we move into dinner. Okay?
Thank you.
Wonderful, man. Everybody gives. It's wonderful, man. And the whole team are wonderful. So I'll take just a few minutes and that I've been given a seat and the opportunity to eat with you guys. So I feel like it's just fair that I also give something back for that opportunity and at least just introduce a few ideas to start out the dinner. Again, my name is Kabui. People know me by Chef Kabui. And if you haven't checked any of my social media, if you have a phone, you're allowed to move your phone and follow me if you're able to. If you're interested in some of this conversation about social justice. I started my journey in Kenya, spent 20 years of my life in Kenya, where I spent half of my that time with my mother in the village and the rest of the time with my father in in the city. And my father was very active politically. He was very active in the community. He had been very active in the struggle for the liberation of the country, which was 5 years before I was born. And so I always say between my father and my mother, I learned farming one class. And then I learned how to fight for that, the farm. When I grew up in the village, we were growing coffee. Coffee was a big thing. And maybe so that's some of the stuff I want to talk about. That activist aspect of farming and why food justice is important. So earlier today, for those who were able to attend the discussion this morning, I talked about how my indigenous people treated food in a spiritual way. Food was very, very spiritual. So spiritual that if somebody traveled somewhere and they introduce new seed, like if I live here and I live with some seed, then when they brought those seeds to the community, back to the community, and you ask them where they got the seeds from, it was actually a cultural practice, but people will never say where they got the seed from. They say they got it from God. This is just how big it was to be able to bring a new seed into the community and expand our gastronomic experience was just next to godliness. So, or to cleanliness. So if cleanliness is God to godliness, then surely having new seeds and expanding our food taste buds and our gastronomic experience ranks very, very close. So I talked about that. So, but what I want to talk about now, very briefly, is about how that system was destroyed through colonialism. So you're talking about people who are very, very sovereign in terms of food, and they have what I call decentralized food system. Decentralized food system is a food system whereby nobody controls the food except the people who consume food and the people who produce food. Nobody is in between, or even if somebody is in between, they have very minimal role or ability to manipulate that process. Okay, so that's decentralized food system. The way I perceive it is that the opposite of that is centralized food system. And the centralized food system is what I call the food of the empire. So if you're interested in building an empire, you have to conquer not only other people, but other people's food system, so that you become the only person who is producing food, and other people are reliant on you for their source of livelihood. So I'm going to tell you very briefly the historical and cultural aspects of my indigenous people's experience relative to the global food system. So when the British first came in Kenya, that was about 1888, is the first European who showed up in what it was called Kikuyu country. In those days, there was no Kenya as it exists today. In those days, countries were linguistic, okay, and cultural. So people from Cherokee, like we have in the US, they have their own Cherokee nation. So in the same sense, we people who are Kikuyu, we had our own nation, which was linguistic, but also cultural and like that. So when the British showed up, they were traveling. They've been traveling from the coast, because it's important for me to mention that when the first people to first come to the region we call Kenya were the Arabs. And the Arabs, as soon as they got there, they traded in ivory, in cowrie shells. They wanted some of the foods that were grown there, because in Arabia it's very, very dry. So you can tell the kind of climatic conditions that people live from influences a lot their culture. So suppose they don't have a lot of food in the area, they were very violent whenever they were there, and they'll try to get everything they could get from there and take it back. So as soon as they traded for a whole while, they started capturing Africans. So they start capturing Africans and enslaving them in Senegal. So the Arab has been enslaving Africans for over 400 years before the Europeans showed up. So but for them, they only limited their time or their influence by the coast, only at the coast, like close to the ocean, like Wilmington. And they were only like 22 miles inside, but they were not very far inside. But they encountered a lot of resistance, they tried to go farther. But when the Europeans came in a different fight. They came as traders. They wanted to proselytize, so they're very, very soft. So when the first people who arrived in my country were the Europeans, not the Arabs. And they came, the first one came, and he was given a place to stay. He said, hey, I'm traveling, can I stay here for a while? Oh yeah, they gave him a place to stay. As soon as they gave him a place to stay, after a while, he put a fence around his property, his place that he was given. So he built a hut, right? But he wanted to put a fence. And the host who was the chief there, was highly upset, because we can't host you here in our land, and then you insult us by treating us as your enemy, that you have to protect yourself against us, and we are the ones who are hosting you as a guest. So because of that, dispute ensued, and there were some words that were exchanged, and they started fighting, and then the person who was the chief was captured. The next day, he was reported to the government. But my people in my country, they don't know a government exists. There's a British power somewhere. And now he has to be arrested. He was arrested, and he had to be tried. And the place where the British first opened their office was by the coast. So although they were exploring, their base was in the coast. And the people who actually had that office was called the British East Indian Company. So it was actually a company that was chartered by the British government to go and explore for land on behalf of the British government. So anyway, so the chief, this guy Wahiga was killed on the way to before he could even get to the coast. So he was that. So now, since that time, our sovereignty ended as a people. We lost our sovereignty since that time. And our era of what I call earlier food ascendancy of food, DA, moving from low quality food to high quality food, or being sovereign, ended and things changed. But so that's the background. I want to kind of set the background so that I can tell you the story. So because of that, soon after 1880, 1890s, the country in 1903, the British government passed a law they call the Land Ordinance Act in 1903. What that means is that all the land that you live on belongs to the Queen and belongs to the Crown. And anywhere you live in your country, you're living there at the behest or the kindness of the Queen. Should the Queen decide that you don't need to live there, you have to leave. That's what colonization actually was. That people lost all their land because obviously soon after, I obviously fast track. I should have said that after that act that I told you, then the community now became an enemy. Right? It engaged in a war against the British, which British East Indian Company now treated my people as enemies because they are interfering with their process of conquering land or proselytizing, obviously, as the underworld was. So what happened is by 1903, the country was now a British protectorate. It was the colony of the British. And so the government was set up to administer this land. But in our case, in my family, we were so interior. There was no internet, by the way. There was no Facebook, there was no Instagram. So we had no way, there was no radio, there was no way of some of the people in the interior to really know what's going on. So it took time before some of the message would get around. So finally, the case as was, finally, now the whole country realized that, of my country, realized that we were under the British rule again. And we had a new type of government. You know, our traditional government was subservient to them, and now they're the rulers, and the British law, common law, is in practice. But that's just background. I want to talk about food, though, right? And I'm telling you all this so that you can understand the story of food. So now that we are colonized, the British took all the good land, called the White Highlands, and they told people to live there and move those people who are living in the best land, and they put them in very, very poor quality land. That's the first thing they did. But second thing, which is of interest in my discussion, is the British East African Indian protectorate, the colonial government, instituted a tax that they say all the people, if you live in British land now, Crown land, you have to pay a tax. The first tax they asked people to pay was a hut tax. Means like you pay property tax on your houses. We didn't have houses, we didn't have those kind of houses, we had huts that we have. So the British government said, you have to pay a tax for every hut that you have. So if we have a community here, a homestead, and you have 7 huts, you know, for me, for my friend, for Noah, you know, for Chef, for Kelly, okay, that's 5 huts, okay, good. Every year you have to pay a tax, okay, good. All right, okay, that's okay. We don't mind, we don't pay. But how do we pay this tax? Can we pay in chickens? No. Can we pay in goods? No. You can't pay. We don't take goods. We don't want. Can we pay in food? Can we bring some corn? No. We don't. You have to pay only in British currency. Only the money they have. So how are we gonna get this money? We don't make that money. Oh, you have to come work for us. So it's because of the tax system that they use that Africans who had been dispossessed of their land now had to go and work on their own land that has been now put in the hands of the British. And the land, I should say, the way the land was allocated, you know, in the British system, if you know enough about the British, you know, as I said earlier, in Europe, the land was owned by the church, the Catholic Church for the most part, and the lords, you know, the king and the duke, the archdukes, all of them. Those are the people who own the land. The regular people like us, unless obviously you're very wealthy here, then we have to be servants, we have to be peasants, we have to be tenants on that land, and we have to pay tax. We have to pay for some amount of crop every year for the right to retain that land. Okay, so that's the kind of system they have. So what the British did is gave big chunks of land to lords too, the people who had titles. They gave them big chunks of land. That's one group of people. But also they used our land as a way of rewarding soldiers, British soldiers who had fought for the British army. So if you're fighting in Second World War, and because the British didn't want a lot of these soldiers to come back to England, because they might overthrow the king and they might cause trouble, we need to ship somewhere, excess people. So you got to ship them somewhere. So they ship those people to Kenya, and those people will be allocated land. My people will be kicked out of the land. Will be given to the people, to the British who are now have been fighting for the British. Now, back to the point. Now we have a tax. Now you have to pay the tax, but you have to go work at the farm that you owned previously, but now it's in the hand of the British. Big, bad, poor decision for the British. My people got irritated. They got pissed off. That's not going to go well. But anyway, but the point here we want to talk about is food. So they came out with a currency that they put a hole in it. In fact, the cultural name for that currency is called hole. Because we didn't have money, we didn't have coins, so they called hole. That's what it is, something with a hole. And the reason why they had a hole on it in this currency is because my people didn't have pants with pockets. So we didn't have to carry anything. We had bags that elders would carry food whenever they're traveling around, or whenever elders were going to adjudicate cases. We had mobile court system. All the elders, something bad happened somewhere, all the elders would assemble there. And before any case would happen, the elders would eat. And then when they finished, any food they didn't finish, they have to take food home for them, right? So that's the only bags there. But where do you put these coins? And then people will go, what people will do is they'll go and work on these farms only long enough to raise the taxes. So that's the one way they try to get around it. So as soon as I know the tax is $10, as soon as I have $10, I quit tomorrow. So whenever it's $10, I got $10. That's one. Number two, they got around the hut tax by demolishing some of the huts. So if it's me and Kelly and Chef Jonathan and Noah had this so many huts, they said no. All the guys will stay in one hut, and then all the ladies will stay in the other hut. So when the tax collector came back at the end of the year, because they have come make the assessment for us at the beginning of the year, they'll collect, like every time they collect the tax, they also make an assessment for the next tax. So like if you have an extra hut, they add on there, so they say at the end of the year you have to pay all this money. So when the guy comes to collect the tax at the end of the year, he finds there's only one hut. I say, I was thinking it's 5 huts. Oh no, wait. Right? So that's what story for another day, that how that demolishing of the huts changed our culture, probably more than anything else. Big way, but that story for another day we want to talk about. So here you have the tax system, you have to go and work and you earn taxes. But what I want to say, the reason why it had a hole is because people will go and earn the $10 and then they lose it. They'll be like, okay, I don't know what it is because they don't want to buy anything. They have everything they need. So the British came out with a very creative way of putting a hole on it so that you could put a string on it and put it on your neck. So you'll carry your tax everywhere. Everywhere you go, you have your taxes until the end of the year when the guys show up and you say, hey, there's a necklace, it's for you, right? So that's one thing I want to say. So that went on for a while. And then, as I said, it wasn't a very good idea. A lot of my people got really pissed off and they started fighting. They started fighting the British. My father being one of them, my mother being one of them. It's brutal. I brought can somebody pass me a basket, please, if you don't mind? Thank you very much. Pass me all.
I'm gonna jump in real
Jump. Oh, I'm winning there.
So guys, I want to talk about this first couple courses we got coming out, and then I'll turn it back over to Chef Kabui. Sound like a good time to step in. So this first course that we have here is a Karuga,
yes.
Karuga elixir.
Yes.
So it's raspberries, fresh peppermint, pineapple, lemon juice, ginger sweetened with maple syrup. I'll let Chef Kabui give you a little bit of background information on that. And then our first course, which is actually the amuse, is a millet calypso fritter. So it's millet, it's chickpeas. Chef Kabui brought in some tamarind pods, fresh oregano, ginger, tomatoes, olive oil. these guys, they really did an amazing job with. They took Chef Kabui's vision and they turned it into a really cool thing for the plate. So I'm not going to stand in too long, but I want to just step in. I want to get y'all eating, get y'all engaged, so we're not sitting here looking at it. But no, y'all definitely start tasting stuff, start eating, and then just keep your ears open.
Feel free to stop, man. I'm just giving you guys distracted. I'm buying you guys more time, you know, in the kitchen. Right? So when you eat, I'm going to show you this basket. I'm going to pass it around. I want you to touch this basket because I've labeled this basket the freedom basket. Freedom basket. Of all the things I've studied as an anthropologist, I think the basket have by far just amazed me the most. I used to travel with my grandmother when I was a little boy, and she would collect these barks. She would go and it's a shrub. She would remove the bark, and then she would remove an inner piece of the bark. She would chew with her mouth, and then she would roll it on her thigh, and you'll make the fiber to make this basket. That's all, right? So I'll say this, and I'll go back to my story. This basket, or the basket, it wasn't like this. This is a more modern interpretation. Was very, very central and probably the easiest way to tell the story of my people. Because, especially when you talk about sustainability, the basket made out of this fiber was used for carrying seeds by my grandmother to the field where she wanted to plant feed. So she put seeds in here, she'll go to the farm and she would plant. If it's a new field that had to be cleared, let's say we want to build a garden there and it's all shrubs. So, and there are trees and things need to be uprooted. So the family would come, the larger family would come, and the men will come and cut the trees down, the shrubs, they'll dig them up, and all that kind of stuff. So my grandmother would make porridge and food for them. She would use the same basket to carry food from the house, from the kitchen. She'd have like a tray to carry the food to the field. And then, when that's done, she would carry compost. That's the thing that blew my mind. My grandmother would put the compost again in the same basket and carry the food or the compost to the field to fertilize the seeds that she had already planted or to prepare the field to be planted. When she harvests, she will use the same basket to go and harvest food so that she can come and cook in the kitchen. But even more interesting, she thought that's the end of the basket. If one of her sons needed to get a wife, was about to get married, the basket came in hand. When they went to the soon-to-be wife for what was called the dowry process, the dowry process could not take place, or the family would not be allowed to enter the other compound unless the women were carrying this basket, a basket, which is very similar to this, usually the basket there. And the guest, the host would weigh the basket, right? If as soon as like you guys arrive, my grandmother will be carrying like this, right? Or one of the women will be carrying like this, or even several women in certain cases, depending on how big the family was. And all the women would be welcomed into the compound, and the welcoming host would actually take them from the back, say, "Oh, let's turn around," and they'll receive them, right? And they'll weigh them. You know, they're like, "That's what you're." If it's light, that means that family is not very kind. You're like, man, you're shady people. Your credit, you don't have perfect credit, right? So that. But that's a very, very important process. So the basket was very, very important. So I want to share that as an example. But, so here we are. The people who are very proud of food, very, very rich food culture, now decided to fight back because we used to be food sovereign, to our own food. Now the British are taking over, they're making life very difficult for us, so they fought. They fought until they won. So we'll summarize that because now I get to the point that I understand. So when I was born, I found my family eating or growing coffee. And I hated coffee. I hated coffee till now. I don't even like to drink coffee really, because I had a very bad relationship with coffee because we were taking a very big percentage of our land to grow coffee. And we were growing something that didn't grow very well. So we were using a lot of chemicals on the land. So I'm hoping that some of the Elon students will be able to visit my farm, my family place, because I'm building a food industry center. And you can see the devastation that coffee caused in my community. Because people are using so much food, so much space to grow coffee. That coffee, they didn't have any control over the coffee. It was like a really, really bad idea. It's like sharecropping or Jim Crow version in my country. So we're growing coffee, you buy everything retail. You pay for everything. You pay for the labor, you pay for the chemicals to spray the coffee, you pay all the laborers, you pick the coffee, you take it to the market, you take it to the factory, but you don't know how much you're gonna pay. For you, you're paying everything retail. Everybody's being paid whatever they think is a fair price, except you, the farmer. And then they'll take your coffee, take it to the market, and say, sometimes they'll come and say, oh man, the market was bad. So you don't have any money, you owe money. And most families will go and get the chemicals on credit because they don't have money. So you end up owing. You end up owing, just like the sharecropping and Jim Crow, you know, where the African American farmers will never get out of there. It's very, very similar. But in our case, it was, in their case, it wasn't better. But what I'm interested here is how the growing of coffee, using chemicals, chemical fertilizer, using chemicals to spray the coffee, damage our soil. So right now, we are having major, major crises in Kenya because one, we don't have enough space and land to grow food to eat because a lot of people are growing coffee because we got tied to the hole. And that's why I come back, that's why I talked about it, the hole. We still tied to a hole on our neck because we have debt. This time no taxes, but we have to pay market prices for a food system that's already rigged. Just like in sharecropping, you'll never get out of business because you didn't know how to read in the case of the South. In our case, we didn't know the market. We couldn't read the market. We didn't know. We couldn't understand how the food prices are, how the whole game was designed. And that's why I say that food justice to me has become very, very integral to my life and to the work that I do is because of such experiences. So I just want to share that short story so that we have something at least of value, hopefully, or a lesson that we can take, in addition to the great food that these people are making. So if anybody got any questions or want to come and stand here, you can continue. But mine, I just want to give a short story so that if you haven't attended any other events, at least you don't have a question or any doubt why I do what I do, and or why it's important to me, and why it's important to me that you guys showed up, that you guys care about these issues, and that I'm very, and why I'm very excited about what the dining services are doing, and all the greatness that can happen when young people can start thinking very hard about how important food is to the kind of world we want to have. Okay? All right. I have a basket so we can touch it later.
All right, so
Pick the wrong seat.
I want to just talk about one thing. I want to apologize for not having utensils first off. It's a little hard to get stuff out of the bowls. So, what does everybody think so far about the elixir and the calypso balls?
So good.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty incredible. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest with you. Chef Kabui swears by millet. It was the hardest thing for us to source. We had a hard time trying to get it in campus, but you know, one of the things that I found out today with Chef Kabui is basically when he was speaking on millet, they used that was the go-to grain. That was what they lived off of, and that's really what the supplement was on most of the starchy items that they were using with their cuisine. I do want to talk about a couple of things while y'all are just picking at the notion board. We just started a very new partnership with Farmer Food Share. It was an old partnership that went away prior to COVID, but we brought it back. So it's actually enabled us to start reaching out to some more North Carolina local farmers as well. So a lot of the vegetables and stuff that you're going to see coming up on these next few dishes are from Farmer Food Share, and they are local North Carolina. We usually come to these events and we talk about how we are so hyper focused on local. I don't know how many of you have ever been to a farm table before, but for our campus alone, we are about 54% of the products that we purchase on campus are purchased within 120 miles of this university. That is incredible because we're not an ag school. There's a lot of ag schools that want to be us with our dining programs, but also on that, just this past year alone, we increased our diverse spend with BIPOC farmers, with women-owned, 5% just in the last year. So it's we went from 1% to 6%. So that's really incredible, and we're looking to push that. Talking about how we build relationships, and this goes hand in hand with what Chef Kabui is talking about. Probably one of our biggest partnerships that we've had on success stories with farmers is our egg story. Our eggs are purchased from BIPOC farmers right across the Virginia line. It's called Piedmont Progressive Farmer Coalition, and we started out this relationship with these guys. When you talk about history and how these relationships are developed, they didn't want to do business with big corporate companies. These were small farmers. They'd been burnt by corporations before, and so what we had to do on our team as a dining program, we had to earn the trust of these small farmers. So we initially started the conversations out by finding out that they were wasting eggs, and they were throwing away about 400 dozen eggs a week. And so that was our end. And I said, you know what? Me and Laura, we talked. We said we're going to take them off. We'll buy them. And so that right there was our footstep into the operation of the egg business with these farmers. And what that's in turn done for us, they are now up to the point where they supply us with about 900 dozen eggs a week. And that only operates about half the week at Lakeside Dining Hall for eggs. Oh, wow. And that is a huge amount of eggs that we bring on campus. But the flip side of that is being a good partner and making a good relationship with these farmers. Right now, where the street value of eggs are insane right now, we have maintained a consistent low price with our eggs because we started this relationship, and they've been really good partners with us, and it's been a great relationship. And we've also allowed them to get 100 more hens to lay eggs as well. So it's been a huge impact, a huge relationship, but that's one of probably our biggest success stories with sustainability, with local partnerships, diverse spend, and we're continuing just to hyper focus on that and continue to grow that relationship. So pretty incredible story. I don't even know, we haven't got to actually talk about that, but yeah, it's totally an amazing thing. But our goal in the future is for them to supply all of our eggs on campus entirely. And we've got a long ways to go. They've got to get some more hens, but we told them we'll take every egg they have to offer us. So it's been an incredible relationship. I don't know if we want to go ahead and we can start clearing what we have. I do want to talk about the next course that's going to come out. It's a mesclun salad. Brandon and his team, they actually produced a citrus vinaigrette with it. You probably heard him. He was out here bruleeing fresh figs a minute ago. That's one of our toys we've been so blessed with by our boss there. She allows us to have all the fancy gadgets and toys as long as we deliver a quality product. Focus on, we've got some avocado, the tamarind, it comes back into play again. Honey and black pepper, garnished with pomegranate seeds and local watermelon radish. It's pretty incredible. I'm kind of a pickle guy. I definitely love radishes. I love the earthiness that they have to offer, but they're also so beautiful on plate. So you'll see that when we start dropping these. And does anybody have any questions about the farm or anything like that out here? Nothing. How many people's been to the farm? Okay, all right.
I talk about it on tour.
Oh, you talking? Oh, you're a tour guide.
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Yeah, I do talk about it on
I've
tour.
heard
though,
some
so.
crazy tour guide stories. I just want y'all to know that.
Are they good or bad?
You know, they're
think
they're
you're
odd.
Okay.
Each person has a different story,
Oh.
and the next it's like a fish story. You know, fish starts out this big, then it gets this big, then it gets this big.
see.
I've heard some crazy stuff from just sitting in the dining room listening to these tour groups. But hey, my
Fair
hat
enough.
goes off to you because you guys are out working the streets pretty hard. So the farm here, we actually partner with how many? We got some workers on the farm here, right? Okay. So, what's your name? Sam. So Sam actually works with a partner that we have. His name's Taylor. He is our farm manager that works for us with Harvest Table. So we do a lot of crop planting. One of our biggest things that we've done with the farm recently is we did a whole experience on hot peppers here. They grew about 27 different varieties of peppers on this farm. Brandon brought the culinary team out here. They did a pepper cutting. So they went from the mildest pepper to the hottest pepper, and you know, a couple of our chefs dropped out on us in the middle of it, but you know, it's a pretty cool experience.
It was funny. We
But-
got Taylor, who does a lot of the growing, had never eaten the Carolina Reapers he had,
Oh,
so we
wow.
actually got him into eating the Carolina Reapers too. So
It
No thanks.
we harvested close to 120 pounds of peppers off of this farm last season for us. So what we've actually did, Laura, Keith, myself, a couple of the other culinary directors prior to myself, they had a vision. First, it was how do we get the farm active? You know, so Laura and Jay and a couple of other guys, they got the farm active. They started growing. They started talking food. They started, you know, sharing this and that to figure out where our plans were in the future. So then we started tapping into what these guys made them excited. So the farmers, Taylor got excited, Jacob got excited about growing peppers. This is their thing. And then, you know, the next thing was, how do we put that in a bottle? So this year, last week, me and Laura, Brandon, we went and dropped off the 120 pounds of peppers that we harvested, or Sam and them harvested, we didn't harvest, we just prepped them. But we took that to the co-packer. So probably in the next 6 weeks, we will have our own Elon Phoenix, we don't know the name of it yet, hot sauce, but it'll be bottled. We'll be able to sell it in the C-store. But
wow.
the incredible thing about, the really cool story about that is, it's almost like a wine. So every year, we're gonna go off of the pepper harvest for that year to develop our hot sauce. So it will be a limited edition. I think we're gonna bring about 2,000 bottles on with our first harvest. But every year we'll have a different flavor profile due to the seasons, the changes of the seasons, or the pepper growth and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Oh, we can drop those salads, ladies. But pretty incredible story. And my hat goes off to you guys because y'all do an amazing job with supporting us. But that's just one minor detail that comes out of this farm. You know, they supplied us with a bunch of lettuces this year that was going to McEwen and Clohan. The tomato business, we were in the tomato business for a little bit, but peppers, collards, taro root, yacon was something that actually came out of the garden here, and then they actually supplied us with Jerusalem artichokes here recently. So that's pretty cool because we can take all this stuff and we can implement it into this, but we can also incorporate it into our dining halls, which is really amazing. All right, I'm done talking. You guys eat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Chef Kabui, I was just in Kenya in December.
Get out of here.
I was in Mombasa and Nairobi.
I was in Kenya in December too.
What dates?
I was there from the 7th to the from
We
the
left.
14th, yeah.
We left on the 3rd. We were
On
there
the 3rd,
from
okay.
the end of November to the beginning of December.
Oh, good. Where else did you went to Mombasa? How long were you
Yeah.
there?
One more time.
How long were you there?
We were there for 6 days. I was abroad last semester, so we that was one of our last stops.
Ah, good. Where else did you go?
So I did semester at sea. So I was in a small German cruise liner for 4 months. So I went to 11 countries between Europe, Africa, the Middle East, and Southwest Asia. Wow. Yeah. So Kenya was that second to last.
Wow. That's very good to hear, man. I wanna hear more about that.
No, it was great.
About that experience.
It's fantastic.
Hopefully we can entice you to come back.
Oh, I want to go back. All my friends who went to Masai Mara had a blast.
Oh yes, Samar is great.
Yeah. I can't tell if I'm hungry or if it actually is good. I haven't eaten all day.
It's like something savory, salty,
Yeah, exactly.
something. I feel as though we've crossed paths.
We have.
Tell me your name, and should you know how we've crossed paths, that'd be lovely. If not,
So
it's okay.
I'm Britt.
Brent?
Britt, B-R-I-T-T.
Cool.
I think we've crossed paths with Res Life
Yes.
and student government.
Oh, great. Yes.
So, I was in historic last year, so Chloe Stewart was our environmental ambassador.
Wow. Good job.
I try to remember.
Good job. Yeah.
And then
Are you still doing res life stuff?
I am not. No.
You said I am.
Yeah,
done
I
with that.
was
Fair.
abroad for a semester and was like, you know what? I'm just taking my time in Mill Point. So, enjoying the lavish life of Mill Point right now.
Beautiful. What year are you?
Oh yeah, a lot of fun.
I'm a junior.
Okay.
Got one more year.
Where are you from?
Then we'll see if I stay. We'll see if I stay. I don't know if I'm ready to leave Elon yet.
That's what people always. I've never worked in a school where students are more interested in just staying, just being here.
Yeah, I would.
Exercise science, so
If they offered me a job,
exercise science.
I would.
Your science?
If they offered you a job in res life, would you take it?
Oh. I think I would because I like the challenge.
Oh, great. Okay.
Not a
I'd be very hesitant though, because
You do need exercise.
that
You've seen
person
some
has,
things?
yeah, and that person has changed jobs quite significantly since I've been here. At least. So
Oh,
Yeah.
you look
usually they don't last a year.
I don't know what to say.
A year.
It's a tough position. I don't
Absolutely.
envy them. But there are cool things you can do.
Yeah.
You know, obviously impacting students. and
Absolutely,
lives.
absolutely.
But, yeah, they deal with it.
A lot of things that I was very surprised they did.
I went in college. I only
Yeah,
went for
heard stories,
I was just
have been on phone calls.
Where did you go to college?
Don't want to do it. Don't
more
want to do it.
historically black college in there.
Surprise at this point.
Could not.
What was your what did you do? What's your major? Can anyone do
So-
semester at C?
One more time?
Can anyone do? I know. I
Yeah,
asked you
yeah.
4 things. Okay. Anyone can do semester at C.
Yes, anyone can do semester.
What was your What is your major?
So I'm strategic communications and outdoor leadership education.
I really
Cool.
wanted to spend a lot of
Okay. Will you go on? I'm co-leading a trip to New Zealand next year.
Oh,
I'm
solid.
trying to only get
needed to read a
good
lot.
students. So if
Fair
you
enough.
could just apply and go to New Zealand,
Jolly good.
that would be great.
I'm thinking between that one and because Carol's gonna be gone, right?
I'm taking over.
Yeah.
So you get me.
No.
Evan. He's like, actually, Carol was gonna do it.
No. Someone told me they were like, oh yeah, Carol's not doing it next year. I'm like, okay, fair.
Yeah,
That's
she
good.
is going to be in London for the fall, so she can't do New Zealand. So
Gotcha.
it'll be Evan Small and then
Oh,
myself
nice,
will be
nice.
doing it. So
Nice. Have you hiked in New Zealand before?
I have never been to New
No.
Zealand.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Just bringing in the sustainability aspects
Cool.
of things.
Nice.
And also very nervous to do this 12-mile over
Uh-huh.
mountain hike. But
Very fair.
do it. What are you trying to decide?
So I'm trying to decide between New Zealand or doing the Holocaust journey with Rich Landsberg and Ken Gaither.
Very cool.
I love Ken and definitely want to go to Vienna in Austria. So I'm like, which one would I rather do?
Yeah.
Low-key, I would love to go to Polynesia, and especially New Zealand,
what's these?
because that's a little bit farther than Europe.
That's how I feel. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to get the chance to
Yeah.
do New Zealand again.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of, I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to see who's going to do New Zealand, if I can pay for it. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested. I've been interested for a long time,
Cool.
trying to do that. But
training.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
They have.
So yeah, how was
No.
your journey on
It
semester
was
at sea?
a blast.
That talks about
Yeah, I mean, we were on a cruise ship, so I wasn't like sailing like some other people think I was. There's another like semester
Like a
C
journey.
program.
Oh,
Yeah,
where they do.
yeah. Apparently, where they're on like a 70-foot sailboat,
Wow.
and it's like 30 students that are all like sailing on this sailboat and through the Caribbean usually. And I was
Interesting.
like,
I didn't know that was an option.
no thanks.
Yeah, okay.
No, but it was a blast. I would say the best place that I went for activities was Morocco.
So
okay.
I do want to talk about a couple of things before this next course comes out. The next course, as you see in Chef Brandon, he was actually searing our steaks for the night. So as he spoke earlier a little bit, I don't know if everybody heard, he did do a process of sous videing on it. So if you're not aware of that, he took it, he vacuum packed the steak, had some fresh herbs, some butter. You can usually incorporate some wine or some garlic into that. So then you put the vacuum seal on it so it sucks the flavor into it and it permeates the flesh of the beef. And he actually drops it into an agitated water. So it's a recirculating temperature of water that maintains a certain degree temperature. So it brings the steak up to, I think you brought it up, did you bring it up mid-rare?
Yeah, we're mid-rare.
Mid-rare, so about 125 to 130 degrees. And then it does not cook over that. So it's really cool. A lot of people are starting to use them in houses now. It's kind of been trendy technology in the food service for a long time, but it's starting to hit homes and stuff like that. But it comes out, when it comes out of the sous vide or the vacuum, you cut it open, it looks ugly at that point. So it's just like a gray steak on the outside where the water's just almost poached it looking. But then you hit it with a flame so it actually sears it. So you get the beautiful crust on the outside and then a really bright red fleshy meat that's got a lot of flavor on the inside.
Yeah.
So it's really an awesome process. It is pan-seared beef. I know Brandon mentioned earlier that Joyce Farms is one of our partners that we use. They supply us with pork, chicken, and beef on campus now.
Oh, wow.
Me and Laura, we had the ability to actually go to these farms and see these animals and, you know, see how they were treated and brought up, and, you know, to be able to spend time with the farmers on their farms and meet their families, sit with their families. They actually brought us in, we sat down, we ate lunch with them on the farm, all the farm workers and stuff. It was pretty incredible. Laura got to hold little pigs. You know, it was really an incredible journey. But you know, the flavors that they've got, Brandon's got a couple of different purees on the plate. I believe one's a pea.
Yeah, we had the pea puree, and then we took the acorn squash that we got in. Unfortunately, I was not able to get kombucha, so we took the acorn squash, made a puree out of that. I also have roasted acorn squash that we're going to put around the plate as well. So we probably have another 2 to 3 touches on this, and we'll be ready to send it out to you.
So pretty incredible. So a little backstory on Brandon. Brandon's been with the company for quite some time now, but we just signed him up to an ACE competition. So he's actually going to be representing Elon for an ACE competition, which he's going to win.
Roll Phoenix, baby. Roll
No
Phoenix.
pressure. And
We're sending you all the right
actually,
I won it 11 years ago, so.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
Win again now.
we, as a company, we're actually going to be hosting the ACE competition coming up soon, and it's on the 1st of March.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be hosting it. The chefs are going to be getting down in the kitchen at Lakeside. We've got 6 competitors, I believe, across the brand, and then the winner of that will actually represent our region, and they'll go to a national competition. So we're expecting to see Brandon in a national competition. And we told him if we win, we would get him like a gold-plated wrestling belt, so he could wear it around campus, and he would totally wear it. And but no, we're super blessed to have the talent that we do with Chef Brandon on campus now. So hurry up. Now, as far as dietaries tonight for this course, how many vegetarian vegans? We have two vegetarian vegans.
1 vegan. That's all I need.
You have 2.
Okay.
All right, now you really need to hurry up.
I'm gonna split it in half.
I also, yeah, you can have it and I can eat.
No,
I'll
there's-
just
there-
fill myself
Yeah,
with goat
we have
cheese.
plenty. We have plenty. So, Chef, why don't you talk about, could you go in a little more detail about millet and tamarind?
Sure. I'm happy to talk about millet and tamarind. Number one, I love talking about spices in general because it's because of the spices that we have in the United States. I hope everybody knows that. There will be no, if there's somebody didn't go looking for spices, at least the way history, we can't control what didn't happen. But we can only talk about what happened. Is that Columbus came to the U.S. because he was looking for spices. He was trying to find a way to India and to go and find spices. And spices, very interesting story is that the spices were a big cause of wars in the early years, like 1400, 1300, 1200. The Arabs had a control of what they called the Spice Island or Maluka Islands in Indonesia. And it's because of their control of the nutmeg industry that a lot of blood was shed. And you have nutmeg now being labeled as the most blood-soaked spice in the entire world.
Wow, that's incredible.
Because the Arabs had this control of this island, and that's the only place where the nutmeg was growing. And they would not allow anybody to sneak one seed of nutmeg before they dosed it with lemon juice. Because once they dosed it with lemon juice, it will never grow. Okay? So a lot of people try to get people who are into growing the nutmeg to sneak one out so they can go and grow it elsewhere and they can compete with others. So the penalty of being caught with one seed sneaking out of the island was death. If you try to sneak one spice, so I can tell you a lot of stories about spices because I find it very fascinating because that's something you take so much for granted. These spices are so readily available and sometimes you don't even use them. So maybe another one I can tell you is black peppercorns. Oh, black peppercorns, good story, last story. The black peppercorns were more valuable at one time than gold. That if you are riding on a ship and you're caught by pirates, you can pay them more because they are looking for gold. That's what the pirates were trying to do. You can pay them more by giving black peppercorns, and for good reason, because just a few couple pounds of black peppercorns could buy you a house in London. It was that valuable. Okay, this is one. Number two, the interesting thing about the trade of peppercorns is because people are coming from all over the world to go and buy peppercorns from India, in Calcutta. So there are people with different languages, so people can speak the same languages. So they created the most interesting way of trading. I never seen anything traded like that. And what they would do is that you go to the market and you find a table with two chairs on the outside and this on the inside, the side where the merchant is selling. And you test the peppercorns. If you test these peppercorns that are displayed, you will take a seat. And the table had a cloth. And if you just simply taking a seat is an indication that you're interested in peppercorns. So you put your hands beneath the cloth, and nobody would know speaking, and nobody will know what the price is. The price is not on there. But the way the merchant will hold his fingers, he might do this, he might do this, for example, right? Just go. And you know that's 9, you know that's 6. So if you're talking about hundreds, you know, everybody knows the kind of, the average cost of the corn is in hundreds, maybe hundreds of dollars. So if they hold 7 or 8, you know it's $800. So if you like it, then the buyer would now, the merchant would hold and his fingers a certain way, right, under the cloth, and the buyer will put his hands on top of it to figure out how many fingers the seller is holding. And then the seller would remove their fingers and the buyer would put their fingers. They'll respond by price. So if you say 700, the buyer might say 600. And then the seller will not put his fingers back. He said, I'm not even countering that, so that's it. I'm not selling for that. So it's very complicated process, even to buy the spices. It was complicated for Columbus, that's why he got lost. So it's already complicated to get to India. And then when you get there, it's a very, very sophisticated thing. So, so saying that all that said, I'm very excited about spices. And a lot of people died, a lot of people fought for the spices. So when I taste a spice, I don't only taste the spice how it feels to me in my mouth, but I also try to get the feeling in my head and the memory or the history of it. I add that on top of the taste of the spice. So now to my tamarind. Tamarind is something that was introduced to the East African coast by the Arabs. The Arabs brought the tamarind to our region. And the Arabs had a rather sophisticated cuisine. But although their cuisine was sophisticated, what I think was most sophisticated was their style. Because there was a lot of foods that are available in Kenya. So the tamarind became a big gateway spice for kids, for us as kids. Why? Because the tamarind is interesting because it's a spice, you can use it for cooking. You can use it for tea, but you can also make candy with it. So when I was young, people would put honey on this tamarind, they put all tamarind beans together. Or they'll take the paste and they'll make small balls with that. And then they'll freeze it. Sometimes they'll put it in water and freeze it in the fridge. And it becomes like a popsicle. And by this tamarind. So I'm eating tamarind in all different ways. So for this, the way I perceive the relationship between Elon, the South, and my visit here, especially at the time, is it has all these complex flavors. This relationship that has all different ways. We're talking to the dining services, I'm talking to the students. So I was looking for something that has that taste of both sweetness, sourness, something that has a savory, savory. So that's why I use tamarind in these particular spaces. And it's the tamarind and some cloves or cumin that were mainly the spice that I wanted to feature in the cuisine. So, thank you.
I was saying,
I want to hear. Yeah, you said Morocco specifically.
Morocco is the best place.
Okay, what did you do?
So we went to the south, Marrakesh, which is the cultural capital of Morocco.
Okay.
And had a blast there for a night.
Yes.
And then we went to the Western Sahara for 2 days,
Wow.
and spent 2 days with the indigenous people. And partied, had a great time.
Beautiful.
And did jeep tour, camel
How long
ride,
did you stay there?
ATV tour, everything.
Wow,
In the
okay.
Sahara, which was
That's a
great. But then we also
That's what the
went
semester
and hung out with the nomadic people of the Sahara. So about once a month they move their, I don't want to call it a hut because it's not even that. They move their home space across the desert between Morocco and Algeria.
Cool. Okay.
So like they literally pick up,
Once a month?
yeah, about once a month.
Is there?
Because-
Okay.
Oh no, because at that point they've used the necessary resources at that part
Okay.
to then just move and pick
Okay.
up. So, yeah. So enjoyed Morocco. Very long drives, but was very fun. Our last drive back home from the Sahara was 10 hours. So, yeah, that was a very long day to say the least.
But worth it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely worth it. My favorite place for food was Greece. I loved Santorini. I think I'm about to ship some wine back home because it's just
Yeah.
so good.
Yes.
And we ended up on our first day. We saw the Acropolis. And we walked down this road, and we're like, okay, like we're hungry. Let's find something to eat.
Yeah.
And so we go and we sit down with a group of girls. So the owner goes, "Oh, you're a very lucky man, aren't you?" And but then we ended up touring the rest of the city for that day. We go into this 5-star hotel and ask them like where we should go to eat. We're trying to find some authentic food, and so they say go to this place and go to that place. The first place that they recommended was the place we went to for lunch earlier.
Oh, great.
And apparently it
good
was
choices.
the oldest fisherman's tavern in Greece. And so they've been in operation for literally almost like 1500 years.
Wow.
and
Amazing.
have facilitated their growth and continued being, and it's still one solid family that still owns it. So,
Wow. Very cool.
but then we went to another place.
Okay.
The other place they recommended, and we stayed there literally for
Steak's
about
awesome.
4 or 5 hours, just sitting, talking, eating, and drinking wine, of course. And
Is it a secret dining hall?
it was just amazing.
It could be. It could be.
Most impactful place was Jordan.
Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, enjoyed the
Oh yeah.
definitely did. I think a lot of us, as at least me, as a post 9/11 baby, and come from a military family, you have a lot of politicized views of the Arab world. And the Jordanians and the Moroccans were some of the most welcoming, heartwarming, I don't even know the other adjective to describe it, but just some of the most welcoming people I've ever met, and really disproved the stereotype that we have of Islam and the Muslim world wrong.
Yeah.
But I identify as a Christian, and so we went to the Jordan River our first day, and I was able to baptize about 5 of my friends in the Jordan River. And so,
Jeez,
yeah.
what a
So,
cool, experience.
so enjoyed that. It was wild because you have it's a natural border, so you have armed military guards guarding the river.
That's how I do it.
So as I'm like dunking my friend, there's this
Yeah.
guy who has a M16 in his hand, just ready
On such a dinner.
to be on point if something ever happens. But
I couldn't even imagine to
truly enjoyed it.
put that in.
I had a blast.
How long
I don't
were you
know.
able to stay in each place? Do you feel
What
like
do
you got
think,
enough
Jeff?
time, or
45,
probably?
$50 a head?
I would say yes. I got so it's about 5 to 6 days depending on which
I
country
don't
we're in.
know.
Killing that.
I'm just
I
saying,
think it's one of those
maybe
that
for the
like
food piece,
sparks
but
your
then
interest
you
in a
think about,
country
I've got a bunch
that's
of
like
heavy
make you go
hitters
back
here.
and start
I've got
becoming a world traveler.
myself, I've got
So like for
Laura,
example, I
I've got
have to
all
go back
these
to
people
Spain.
here, so
I miss so much in Spain.
They don't let me
The
cook
wine's
catering,
great.
so-
Do you think the wine's better in
glad
Greece
you're
or
not.
Spain?
So
Hey, your job is secure, okay? Marketing.
for tour guiding. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not getting as many hours as I
I
want.
love it.
Try to put in some words. I'll call admissions.
Call Tim Bowles.
One of the bigger issues I have in my work is pricing.
Yeah.
Because I go to great lengths to price things right. Number one, being black and already being self-conscious, and knowing that you're doing good work is always problematic. It's a big challenge because some people are already pricing you low.
Right.
Just because of that. That's number one. Number two, just because of historical injustice that you're not used to commanding, your fair share. Like I share the story about coffee. So it was a big process for me
Is there a restroom out
to
here?
overcome
Do you know?
and to charge the right
In that
price.
building,
So
it
actually,
says
I'm setting you up there, so don't.
Oh yeah. It's,
Yeah, it's my boss.
Yes, I am.
All the time, man. So yeah. Sorry for that. But yeah,
If I don't find it,
We'll help you.
it's very hard sometimes to price food
right.
and price right, especially and put all the labor.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into these.
It's a lot of
deals.
it.
Like I said, local sourcing.
Yes.
There's cost involved in that. The tomahawk ribeyes, I can tell you they're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
But it's for the experience, and I think that's where we put, the investment into it is to bring the students out and to make sure that they have a great experience. So,
But I'll highly recommend, my friend, that people understand. But this is just my experience. I'm just sharing stories, so don't take it too seriously. But I noticed that some people are attracted or there are different ways of communicating to people. So when people know something is of great value, then they value it more.
Right.
When people think, oh, it was just like, oh, 25-hour value there, okay, so
Right.
whatever. But when people know,
Yeah.
that's number one. Number two, I think is the work of the dining services that I can give a pushback on, because if you empower these students with knowledge about the cost,
Right.
when they go to somebody else's dinner and they get an invite to dinner and it costs $150, and they show up for the dinner and is okay, what it is, a $150 dinner, they'll be like, oh, seems like we got shortchanged, you know?
Yeah.
Come in, why didn't they charge $25, man? Just something for you.
Yeah.
I'm saying that not to all of us,
Right.
And all, including to myself. You know, I always have to be very intentional in pricing, because this cost, it takes a lot of work. You know, now I appreciate sitting down, because I know all the work.
It does take a lot of time and a lot of work to pull these together, because the amount of touches that these chefs are putting on each plate, you know, some of those dishes have 12 to 15 touches on the plate, and then each component to build out on this table per se, there's a lot of labor that goes into this. Brandon's invested
Labor of love.
a lot of labor, a lot of his time in the past 2 days to make sure that this meal goes off without a hitch. So, you know, there is a
I
lot
didn't
of
want
love
Chef
put
Kabui
into
to be
the
mad
meal.
at me, so
No.
he seems like such an angry guy. Doesn't he?
I am very, very much. I have anger issues. And I have appointments for anger counseling from every week. I gotta go to my weekly meeting. Anger Anonymous, Anger Anonymous. I'm actually just make sure you get your right credit. That's part of my anger, benefit from Anger Anonymous meeting, that I have to give people credit where it's due. That reduces my anger when I know people are getting credit.
Last course tonight, we've incorporated millet again for the meal. I've seen more millet than I can actually fathom this week, but we've actually did a millet pudding. There's pears, maple syrup, blackberries, dates, cardamom. They did a date and what was the other item?
Date and fig.
Date and fig, slipped my mind, thank you. They made a fig jam on the base of the plate. They did quenelles of the millet pudding. They've got a crispy component over there with the pear, garnished with tamarind, cinnamon, nutmeg. I would say it's kind of a play on a rice pudding, but like I said, this is our chef's interpretations of this. You know, I would cook different. Chef Kabui would cook different. Every one of these chefs over here would cook something totally different if we laid out the same menu. So it's pretty incredible, and that goes with the experience that you guys are getting tonight. Is, you know, it was Chef Kabui's menu, it was Chef Brandon's interpretation, and then how he gets his team to execute. So it's pretty incredible.
Awesome.
But we also too, we like to get a little bit of feedback when we do these. This is where my boss comes into play. We do like to get some feedback. So I would say, where's y'all's favorite spot to eat on campus right now? Clohan?
Don't have a meal plan.
Don't have a meal plan. So farm table dinner.
Yeah. That is exactly what this was.
Yeah, we've been liking the weekly themes.
Okay, the
Yeah.
themes are working. One thing that I don't know, and I'm gonna run this by you guys because I need some feedback. Have they been a little too far extreme in the international direction, or do you think? Because we're starting to feel like we're getting a little too far out there with the recipe and the cookbook series.
I like it.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, I mean that's what we're here for. I'm looking for feedback, honest feedback. So, what about so the world, is that where you eat at Lakeside the most, on the home line, or is it street food, or
Yeah, probably at the
the world?
station. Yeah.
Okay,
Kind of like taking parts from each, depending what we like.
yeah, grazing. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
So one cool thing about that, and it's funny that you brought up we were actually getting some identification with the regions we're in, but we took this approach with a cookbook series. So we focus a deep dive into these cookbooks from different regions or the chefs that come from the regions, so we can focus on getting more authentic. That was some of the feedback that we got back last year, was how can we make our international meals more authentic. So that was sort of our approach to start digging into that, and we can start collaborating with these chefs. We start using them with social and tagging them on their cookbooks, so maybe we get a little love back from these chefs or whoever that we're writing the cookbooks out of. And so far we feel like it's working. You know, we're gonna have to make some more tweaks, but I think we're heading in the right direction. I do appreciate the feedback on that, because we have been up in the air a little bit on it. Clohan though, I do want some feedback on Clohan. So if Lakeside isn't your favorite, what is it, because Clohan's out of the way, or is it?
Well, I'm vegan, so
Yeah.
I can never eat at Lakeside besides a salad.
Okay.
So, or at least, I mean, I don't have a meal plan anymore. I have because I always like Kohan because I know I can always eat there and it's usually pretty good.
Okay.
The stir fry station is really good, except for I always end up finding like 10 pieces of like chicken or steak in it that I have to like pick out. But
That's funny you say
tastes
that,
good.
because we've had some feedback very similar to that. So we've actually implemented a plan where if you come up to the line and you order all vegetables, our cooks on that station are automatically going to go straight to a saute pan. So it's not actually going to be prepared on the sundial there.
Yeah, like I'm not like too picky about it, but it is,
Well, no, I mean, it
picking
is.
out is
That's-
not ideal.
Shouldn't be in your food, right? Yeah. I get you.
But it tastes good.
What about, let's talk a little bit about Burger Joint. Do we have Burger Joint fans?
Down.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just gonna throw this plug out there,
Okay.
and it's gonna be real quick. We're grinding our own meat.
Ooh.
We are pattying our own burgers on campus now.
Oh, wow.
There is nobody else in our company that's doing that right now. So all of our meat, all of our ground beef comes from Nyman Ranch. That's a partnership that we've developed years ago with a really good friend that left Joyce Farms. He's helped us to get trim in, so we've started this patty press. Keith actually helped me to get this going. He was the idea behind this. He ordered the equipment. We waited forever and ever and ever for it to come over on a boat. It just happened this semester, so we've been grinding on our own beef. So every ground beef hamburger you get, every piece of meatloaf you get on campus, if it has ground beef in it, we are grinding it in-house now. So that's really cool. It doesn't get fresher than that, but then we're pattying it as well.
Sausage patties.
Sausage patties are in the pipeline too. We're still tweaking that to get that out of the patty machine, but we are going to have all of our sausage patties will be fresh pressed patties on campus as well. That's with our partnership from Colfax Creek. So pretty cool.
You're about to get me a raise in tour guiding.
My man. Yeah, I heard this wild story. It was about Billy D's.
Ooh.
Chef William, he owned a chicken farm and
Ooh.
all this crazy stuff, but no, none of that's true. He is
Yeah.
far from a chicken farmer. Chef William is actually, he's the most sustainable chef in the nation. He was on Uncharted with Gordon Ramsay. He actually beat him. And that's actually his restaurant concept. So Billy D's, he has 3 restaurants. One is the Marketplace in Asheville. He has Haymaker in Charlotte, and then he has Billy D's at the Zoo. So the Zoo was the first place he implemented Billy D's, and it actually aligns with our culinary commitments as far as, you know, humanely raised animals, clean labels, you know, responsible sourcing and all that. And we clicked. So some of our culinary directors that we had, they partnered up, they made connections. We brought them on campus. So yeah, there's the truth on Billy D.
I'll make sure that's taken back.
Yeah, because it was kind of funny. We were sitting there at lunch one day, and William Disson, he's a chicken farmer that went big time, and it was crazy. But
Yeah.
anyways, do y'all have any questions for me or anybody on the team? Yes, ma'am.
Well, you invited me to this now. From a sustainability standpoint, and I'm interested in like hearing people's thoughts. Have you done anything with like, I know they do like burger mushroom patties
Okay, that is actually where this whole patty machine process came from.
Okay.
Harvest Table has a blended burger recipe that does have 20% of it is roasted mushrooms that was incorporated back into the ground beef. We had made a partnership with one of our brokers, and they were co-packing it for us. And anyways, it ended up being a really bad business deal, and it went flat. It was a delicious patty, but it went south quick. That's how the grinder and the patty press came into play.
Got it.
So yes, there is opportunity for that, and we're still working out the tweaks on it. Right now, we've probably processed our first, I'm going to say probably about 6,000 patties out of this machine already this semester, for spring semester alone. So to get the mushroom piece incorporated back into that, yes, that is in the works. But there's a huge carbon impact savings with that, or the carbon footprint. But yeah, we do have a plan for the blended burger to come back into reality.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Yeah, y'all are easy. Yeah.
I'll ask, like, why do you do this job?
Why do I do this job?
Hang out with me all day.
Sure.
Man.
You know, I do this because of the people. I guess we always ask chefs when they come to our interviews, you know, what's the most important ingredient in the kitchen? And that's a loaded question. You know, it could be, some people might say salt. Well, then you obviously know that they're food oriented. Or somebody might say time management, you know, or somebody might say food cost, you know, so you know where their head is. I truly believe in the people of this business. It brought me into higher ed. Prior to this, in my prior chef life, I worked big corporate stuff. I worked for NASCAR. I worked for the U.S. Open with the PGA Tour and stuff. I was constantly working with chefs day in and day out. Long story short, I had a family. You know, we had kids. I was traveling about 35 to 36 weeks out of the year. That didn't work. So I had some chefs that I'd networked with on the road, and that led me into an opportunity at Wake Forest. I was the executive chef there for a little while. I met Laura, Keith, and Jay Vetter. I met them on the road traveling. I love their thought process behind food. We obviously gelled as a team because we all aligned in our way of thinking, and you know, our goals and stuff when it comes to food and local purchasing, doing the right things for the people that are around us, and then how do we make that sustainable? We all aligned on that. So honestly, I drive an hour and a half every day to come to work, and that's no joke. I drive from the other side of Lexington every day to come here and work. So it is an important job to me, and this team. I wouldn't be able to do it without any of these guys back here, and you know, the leadership from Laura, wherever she is. You know, she pushes us and challenges us daily. So to have somebody in your corner that's saying go, 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 that's really important. No matter if you're a chef, if you're a shoemaker, a tailor, whatever, you know, to have somebody that's got your back at all times and pushes you, super important.
And I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
So you're executive chef at Wake Forest.
I was.
What made you come to Elon?
These people. I worked for the exact same program at Wake Forest. They're a Harvest Table account too. They do not go like we go here, and we push hard. If you look at any sales pitch that we do or anything from outside vendors or outside universities they're trying to bring, we are the fleet model ship. They bring them here to see what we do on this university, and that's something truly to be proud of. Brandon did the same thing. He jumped from High Point here.
I was executive chef at High Point for 3 years.
And Audrey.
Yep.
And
Leslie was there.
And sort of Leslie. Yeah, so I mean, this is a great team. Like I said, it's about the people on the ground working. You know, you can have the best program in the world, but you also have to have drivers of the ship and operators to make that happen. So, you know, it's not a one-man show. It's, you know, it takes a lot of people and a lot of moving parts to make a program like this.
Absolutely.
And we're very proud of it.
Good. Got some more ammo against High Point.
We're all about ammo against Hopkins. I can say that. Keith can't say anything. He's regional guy now, but I could say anything. Anything else? Any other questions?
I can say something.
Yeah.
I've been to Wake Forest, and I hope I never go back again. You know, because I'll ask them what they think about you, because you took everybody with them.
Yeah. Yeah, Wake Forest is it's a different creature for sure. But I'm not gonna keep you guys any longer. I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. If there is any follow-up questions you have, you can reach out through Audrey or Leslie or Kelly, however you need to get in touch. Make sure y'all hit up Chef Kabui on Instagram. I think he's an amazing guy. It's been a really good experience working with him this week, and we're so glad you got to come out and eat with us tonight. So thank you all very much.
Thank you all very much.
And you don't have to sit here. Y'all can get up with me.
No. We have
Sure.
we have to process all that, all those flavors.
That was really good.
But it's very, very great meeting everyone.
Nice to meet you.
It's so nice meeting you guys. Seems like you guys are doing interesting stuff. Very good energy here. I think I'm now believe good food does have an impact on your personality as well. All these people, from what I can tell, people are quite conscious about what they are eating, and I would urge you to push even further. Keep thinking more about it. We create the kind of world that we have through our team. Okay, so how we eat creates the kind of society. Creates the kind of people we are. And by the way, I say the fast fashion. I had a program I did at the museum, North Carolina Museum of Art, and that was my talk about the connection between fashion and food. And in the Bible Belt, according to the Bible, and I'm reading as an anthropologist, the Bible is an anthropologist, the stories, a lot of the stories there, is that I found it fascinating, I find fascinating when people tell me that they're Christians and they eat bad food, because they say, are you sure? I don't want to cause question other people's faith. But the whole book, the Bible is the most foodie book, you know. It starts with some people who got kicked out of the garden because they ate the bad food. So if I'm saying I'm a Christian and that's true, rule, it's about food. Okay, why are you eating bad food and you think you're a Christian? Right? Number one. But number two, I find it fascinating that when one of the consequences of eating bad food is affecting our image of ourselves. So human beings, according to that story, people are just cool naked until they ate bad food and it changed their fashion. So where Adam, where are you? I'm naked. So the first false geography question, somebody failed that question terribly. They were asked where they were, they say what they are dressing, how they are dressed. So again, our fast fashion is what we put in our mouth. It's a fashion. It's fast, and that's what influences our fashion. Or it shows your state of mind, because if you're eating bad food and you realize you're naked, that means you're eating the wrong food. You know? So and that shows the kind of state of mind you're in. But if you eat the right kind of food, then your body looks good. You think well about yourself. If you're on the righteous path, for the environment, for the community. So please think a lot about it. So enjoy the rest of your evening. Lovely having you here. And I hope to see you guys in Kenya. Invite. I would love to do this kind of under the African the African sky. So that's a commitment. Silent really, man, on the inside, man. No, it happened, man. Real, man. Like, dude, man, straight up, man. Like that. And we make it happen, and we can have a dinner, man. And that time I won't be sitting down. I'm really standing there and in the kitchen, you know. Right. But yeah, so it's lovely being here. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, man. For
Asante sana.
yeah? Asante san. Oh man, somebody. Please touch the basket before man. Just touch the basket. Pass the basket around. Let everybody touch the basket. Touch the basket. Chef, man, you did me well. You did me well. And I'm wishing you very, very well in your competition. And go for it. Go for it. You can see. So, that's what me. Oh man, it's been a pleasure working with you. For nothing but great things. Man, I got it on camera. And so we're dude, she texted. Yeah, she's from home. Yeah. She's like, yeah, you know, great. I'm like, do I some bread?
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we should grab coffee. Yeah, absolutely. Should you have the flyer? You still ever talk to Colin?
Can I do anything here?
Unless you want to eat some more.
I'm so full. Definitely eat that. Did you guys want to try the goat cheese?
No, but I'm gonna try. Actually, let me know if I hear you.
That was why we were worried.
You want to try this? Steam on dining made.
That's all.
It's really good. Are you sure? Everyone I talk.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice talking to you, Kelly. I'll catch you later.
No pressure.
Hey, hit me up on Instagram and Chef Kabui and
We'll do.
Chef Kabui.
Okay, we'll do. Absolutely.
That's all. Everything was wonderful. Great. I'm glad you Hopefully I know. Hopefully.
If anybody else does that, bro. But yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't always man. I'm document. You can recreate that experience.
Yeah. I'm so bad at documentary.
So for me, I was horrible. And reach out. When we probably have some events in a year.
Yeah.
Really?
I love that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, following it on socials and stuff. Yeah.
I know I've been talking about it. And I just tell people, I'm really bad about being honest. I just tell people exactly what I think. If I'm not going to talk about you, I won't tell you.
Great.
I just
Oh,
tell
thank
you.
you. I appreciate that. Well, you didn't say whether it'll be good or bad.
No, no, I can't tell you that. I can say I'm very honest.
Yeah, it'll
I'm
be-
very bad about being honest. I'll tell you. You hear it. But most likely, anything I say because I hope to get it. If it's good, I say hoping that you hear it. If it's bad, I say bad things, hoping that you hear that. That didn't work. I want you to say. really.
I'll be in touch, of course. I'll send a check your way. I'll sign it. So you've earned your.
Oh, if I could bang my kid, man, that's fine. I appreciate it. It's the how long?
Just Instagram.
How long?
I'll send it out tomorrow. What day is it?
You can try it.
Mid next week, I would say.
It's not like
Yeah, I think it'll be mid next week.
yeah, it's all shit.
Yeah.
Mailing it. So yeah, I'll sign everything.
Oh, I don't like that. Oh yeah, it's great. It's great.
You're the best.
No, I thought it was pretty good.
Wondering if you like that.
I normally don't like it.
Y'all made it. Thank you all.
You normally don't?
So much.
I'm not normally a big fan of it. Sorry about that.
I'm gonna clean the
Okay, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, so you taking care of me?
I will.
You take care. Thank you.
Chef, do you need a ride?
If I can.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Appreciate you.
Amazing.
Goodbye. Got the goat
Kelly.
cheese?
It's so good.
Goat cheese is good. All right, goodbye.
It's very good. Did you enjoy?
One thing that, not a complaint, but one of my teammates for religious reasons doesn't eat pork. So sometimes we would go to Lakeside and most of the stations were pork.
We can work on that.
Yeah.
I think we gotta watch
did